The secret? A giant capsule. It's 3 times bigger than the ones that you get in a generic microphone.
So that's not true.
It's simple math. Bigger capsule equals better voice.
And that's not how microphones work. It's not very often that we get to call out total marketing BS on this channel, but when we do, it's always a good time. I did some deep diving on these claims, and we will talk about it, but before then, there are some positive things to talk about with this microphone, with these 2 microphones. And there are some bad things, but the good things are so good that I think for the people who care about those features, they will be game changers. And the bad things are so bad that for the people who care about those features, I think they'll be deal breakers. Let's just talk about all of it. Before we talk about these microphones, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Owned.tv, and let you know about the one-stop shop for all your stream overlay and alert needs. I know a lot of you are looking to spice up your stream design, make it look a lot more professional, and Owned has literally anything you'll need there, from overlays, alerts, panels, transitions, anything that you need to make your stream look good. In fact, I was just kind of browsing their abstract category today. They've got a lot of great ones in there. I'm a big fan of the very clean but bright look, like the Lure series in there, or the Lucent are probably 2 of my favorites. Nexus is also super cool. Stream designs and alerts are a great way to spice up your content and just make it look more professional. So I'll put a link in the description down below that'll get you 50% off. Or if you just go to the site yourself without that link, use code Senpai and get 50% off there. Give your viewers something to look at on stream, other than your beautiful face, of course. Back to the video. So I've got a list of good things and bad things to talk about with these microphones. There are 2 of them. They're both condenser mics, and the Alias Pro is an XLR mic that also comes with its own audio interface. Each of these with a couple distinctions between the 2, but for the most part, very similar on their feature set. I don't want to overwhelm you with too many good things in a row or bad things in a row. So I think we alternate. I think we start with a good thing and then we do a bad thing and then a good thing and then a bad thing until we run out of things. So let's start with the first good thing. I think we should start with the first thing you're going to notice, which is the design of it, which these are beautiful microphones. I think they did a great job of making the look unique and new without looking obnoxious and gaudy. It's hard to completely redesign the idea of a microphone without alienating a large handful of people, and I think they did a pretty good job. And the build quality is fantastic. It comes with this incredible shock mount that you don't have to buy separate. It feels hefty, high quality in your hands, and it comes with both a stand and an adapter for connecting to an arm. It's worth saying, and I'm not going to put this as like a negative point, but the arm adapter didn't fit properly, which I thought was weird. Like, it's a different shape than the stand adapter, so it's not flush. And I thought that was a weird oversight, but I want to say that early because I feel like that's going to be the theme for this. I feel like there's a lot of things that they didn't fully test before they shipped this out, which means a lot of these things are fixable. Anyway, let's move on, because one of the first frustrations I had with the Pro microphone was when I plugged it into the computer, it didn't turn on. In fact, I thought I got a dud until I realized you have to plug it into the wall with a DC adapter. And so while that's not a deal breaker, it's frustrating because this isn't an overpowered device. There's no processor on board. This could easily be bus powered, but instead you got this big power brick that's beefy enough that if you plug it into a power strip, it's gonna take up 2 or 3 different spaces on there. Kind of not a great first impression to start it off with, but moving to something good, it is a good sounding microphone, and that's probably the most important thing. In fact, why don't we just do this here? I tested this against a number of microphones, and because you can't buy the microphone itself, I don't know how much the mic costs, so it's hard to compare it against an equal priced microphone, but I put it up against the HyperX Procast, which I'll play a snippet of now. This is what the SteelSeries Alias sounds like going into a different interface than the Alias one, so you can hear what it sounds like directly against another microphone using the same equipment. This is the HyperX Procast, but if you're looking for something that really sounds good, you should check out StreamBeats CHRISTMAS, the copyright-free playlist I've got linked down in the description below. So go check that out. That's all. And you heard me switching from my $1,000 Sennheiser to this microphone. It's a good mic, as long as it's not plugged into the interface it comes with. So let's get to that. Whenever a company jumps into content creation audio, you can always tell whether their expertise is on the content creation side and they're not super well versed in audio, or maybe they're really good at audio and they don't know what content creators need. This is the first one, because the gain dial on this thing makes 0 sense. I turned this thing all the way down to 0, and I was still peaking if I got kind of loud. That doesn't make any sense to me. it should be silent when I turn it all the way down. And it just kind of gets weird from there. As you turn up the gain, the microphone. Hey, Future Harris here. I'm actually gonna cut the next 5 minutes of the explanation of this gain dial, and I'm just gonna show you why it's so wonky. First, you can see that the gain dial on this is turned all the way down, and I'm still getting a signal. I'm actually still getting a lot of signal. Look at OBS right now as I'm talking in a normal voice into it. My microphone should be silent right now. And if I get loud enough, you will see this light turn red, like it will peak on 0 gain. So if you ever yell during gaming at all, you will clip. And I think this is why in almost every single review I've seen of this microphone, there is some clipping at some point, because you can't turn the gain low enough to not clip. But then to make things worse, in the SteelSeries GG software, there's no way to adjust your gain. At least nothing that I could find while I was looking through it. So that means that 1, I'm not able to precisely dial in my gain, and 2, I have no idea what my gain is set at, and so if I accidentally bump this dial, I can't fix it. I can't go back to the exact gain I was at before. But then it actually gets a little bit weirder, because not only does this dial control the gain of your microphone, it also controls the mic monitoring, or how much you hear the microphone. I'm gonna plug this camera into the headphone jack of this just to show you. Check. I'm gonna have to talk really loud right now for you to hear me, but you can see that with the gain knob turned all the way down, I am still peaking, but you can barely hear me through the headphone jack. Then, as I turn up the gain knob, you start to hear me a lot more, even if I'm not peaking. I'm not peaking right now, but I'm really loud in the headphone jack. And as far as I could find, there's also no way to control the mic monitoring inside the software. So this weird mic monitoring / gain relationship knob is all you get for both. So very bad point, but also kind of good. Very bad is there's not a single person that's gonna get proper levels out of their microphone on this thing. The good is this seems fixable. It seems like a software problem. So I'd love to see them fix this. I think we should get rid of gain knobs on interfaces, like at least on the front of the interfaces entirely. Gain on a microphone, for the most part, is like a set and forget thing. You don't want to accidentally bump it and have to figure out where the proper gain for your microphone is. So let's just stop putting gain knobs on the front of these devices and instead fill that space with something much more useful, like a programmable dial where you can set it to be your chat volume or your music volume or something. Just my 2 cents. Fortunately, I think this is a fixable problem. SteelSeries just needs to reprogram this dial into something functional, and then also add gain and monitoring functions into their software. But speaking of their software, let's jump into another good thing. The Sonar mixer that's inside the GG software is a super cool digital mixer. It works a lot like the Wavelink mixer or the Beacon mixer, where it can separate channels, so you can separate your teammates from your music, from your game volume. You also have submixes, so you can change the volume of your music, how much you hear of it compared to how much your audience hears from it. But the difference is that you don't have to own any SteelSeries equipment to use it. And what that does is that means this can fully replace Voicemeeter, which I've always considered a very anti-consumer software. SteelSeries GG is totally free. You can plug in a USB microphone, an interface, whatever you want. Now every single microphone has a mixer. You don't need to buy something else to mix, which is really cool. I'm pumped about that. For any of you not currently using Wavelink or Beacon or whatever, this is your mixing software. Download SteelSeries GG. It's not only a great multi-channel mixer, but it also comes with a whole suite of plugins. It comes with like 10 band EQ, noise canceling, which is really cool, compression, all this stuff, both on inputs and outputs. It's really powerful stuff. And the fact they released it for free is obviously their way of recognizing that they're kind of late to this fight and they need to get their foot in the door somewhere. And so they're aiming for the people that don't have anything. They're probably hoping that if you start using this software, you'll end up gravitating towards their mics. Oh, and one other thing about it, because there's no actual hardware device to control it, like the Stream Deck Plus or the Beacon Mix Create, you have to control it in the software. But what they've done is they've allowed every single parameter to be controlled with a hotkey. So let's say you want to turn up and down your music volume, but you don't want to Alt-tab out of your game and do it with your mouse, you can set a hotkey to it and control it right from your keyboard. But let's talk about one more good thing, and then I want to jump into those marketing claims that I mentioned at the very beginning. The USB interface for their XLR mic has 2 USB ports, so that way you can plug into 2 computers and have a 2-PC setup simply and cleanly. And I love that. The Rodecaster Pro and Rodecaster Duo do that also, and it is super clean. But let's get into those marketing claims at the beginning of the video. They're talking about the capsule or the diaphragm of the microphone, which is the very thin piece of metal that vibrates from the sound waves coming out of your voice, and that's what picks up the sound. And they're saying it's a large diaphragm, a 1-inch diaphragm. And they mentioned that it was 3 times larger than your generic mic. In another video by SteelSeries, they got more specific, and they said that it was
3.2 times bigger surface area
than your standard gaming microphone. I immediately started researching the most popular gaming microphones, trying to figure out which ones they were comparing it to because they don't say specifically. I wanted to start with the most popular microphone for streamers, which is probably the Elgato Wave 3 microphone. And the diaphragm of that diameter is 17 millimeters in diameter. If we go back to math class and we do pi r squared to get the actual surface area of this diaphragm, we learned that the SteelSeries one is only 2.2 times the size of the Elgato one. And if you look at something like the Beacon mic diaphragm is actually larger, like 1.5 times larger. In fact, I had to search through like 5 microphones to finally find one small enough that it might fit this description, and that was the Blue Yeti, released in 2009, which has a diaphragm of 14 millimeters in diameter, which, if you do the math, the SteelSeries is 3.29 times the size of the Blue Yetis. It's frustrating and weird to see them throw out a blanket statement number like that doesn't apply to any of their competing microphones. But what's possibly worse is what they said right after that, which was
Bigger capsule equals better voice.
anybody who knows anything about audio, including myself because I studied audio engineering in college, knows that is made up. That's not true. And just to drive that point home, this microphone, this is a $1,000 Sennheiser shotgun microphone, and the diaphragm of this is about 17 to 18 millimeters, the same as the Elgato microphone. It's true that bigger diaphragms, because they have more mass, they pick up a deeper and warmer sound, which fits in with some of the resonant frequencies of the voice. You probably heard it when I put the microphone in front of my voice earlier. It got deeper, it got more bassy. That doesn't mean better. In fact, what it's probably gonna do while you're streaming is it's gonna pick up more rumbles from your desk and your mouse and keyboard. So I'm not trying to say it's worse to have a bigger diaphragm, but I am trying to say it's not better. And I hate when companies do this, when they get just techie enough that they can say something that people understand, but they don't know the truth behind. And so they say stuff that sounds impressive, but has zero bearing on the performance. It's very manipulative. And in this case, it's just downright lying. And they didn't have to do this. This is a great microphone. I really think that if they were to refine their software over time, fix that gain problem, add some of those extra parameters to their software, and maybe cut this portion out of their marketing, I think they'd have a pretty top-notch device. But that's just my opinion. What's yours? Do you have a thought? Leave it in the comment down below. Do you not have a thought? That's fine too. Just leave an emoji, your favorite emoji, for engagement. Thank you for that. And while you're down there, hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this. And as always, happy streaming.